There he is on the horizontal street. Good morning, pal.
What's up, pal?
What's up, my man? Oh, I missed you, Marty. I missed you, man. I fucking missed you.
Look like it feels like I was just with you, man. Something crazy like that, right?
Then you were stuck in an airport in Canada for a few days, or I think you were. Was that where you were?
Yeah, I was in Toronto. I was stuck in Toronto.
You were stuck in Toronto. See Marty Fit, Keith Bilous, July 19th. It's a Friday, coming off an awesome week. We got John Anderson joining us here in the lab this morning. We are here to talk about, Marty, creating daily habits. And when Nation gets introduced to John Anderson, they are going to know that this man, Marty, has lived a life of daily habits. Would you agree?
They said he got cheat codes.
I don't think there's cheat codes, man. When you look at John Anderson,
Nah, there's no cheat codes.
I do not suspect this man has cheated a day in his life. Marty, I've met the man before. I've had an interview with the guy. I think he might outwork you and I.
It's possible.
Hold on. Are you actually going to agree with me right now? Dude, yeah. I thought we were on the same team here, man. Maybe we should arm wrestle him.
Let's do it. Two versus one.
Nation's going to see when John Anderson comes on stage. They're going to be like, Keith and Marty are going to arm wrestle him?
Yeah, 2 versus 1.
I think we're going to need a 2 versus 1.
2 versus 1.
A 2 versus 1. So today on the show, we're going to talk about daily habits, what it takes to create those ultimate daily habits. You are here on the morning show, Keith and C. Marty Fit. We drop Monday to Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I thank y'all for joining us this morning. We go for an hour and a half every single day with content to help you move forward. To content to get your ass out of bed. That's a goat, Marty. That's a goat.
That's a goat.
It's a goat. We need to have a goat sound effect, actually. So
I'm on it.
You are on it. Yeah. So we start this show every single day with one mission, with one purpose, Nation, one purpose only. And that purpose is to help you get going. It's to help you not hit snooze. And if you hit snooze, like Keith and Marty did a couple times this week, if you do hit snooze, maybe when you turn over and pick up the old cell phone and turn on YouTube or X or LinkedIn or any of the streaming platforms that we're streaming on, you're going to be woken up by the delightful sounds of Christopher Martin, a.k.a. C. Marty Fit, and the delightful sounds of Mr. Keith Bilous, with our ambition to help you get your ass out of bed and get them going every single day. We bring you enlightening, positive content around business, leadership, fitness, nutrition, all the great stuff that helped you get going. And most importantly, Nation, I was reminded by my friend Marty, we want you to subscribe. Right, Marty? Give me the vibes, man. Give me the verbs. What are we telling Nation to do?
Need you to subscribe, hit the like button, share it with a friend.
Oh, there you go. All 3 things. So hey, we've identified Marty's new role in the show.
I could do that.
He's going to tell everybody what to do along the way here. So
I could do that.
John Anderson coming up in a few moments here in the lab. We are going to talk, like I said, we're going to talk daily habits. We got the accountability check-in coming up on the show here later today. We're going to talk compound movements a little bit later on the day. Listen, the only movements you need to get strong, and I'm going to ask John about this. The only movements don't be doing a little tricep press and a little bit of arm bicep curls. Nah, man, get under the bench. Get under the squat.
No, actually, yeah.
That's what you want to do. You want to get under the big lifts. Hey, Marty, we had a poll running yesterday, man.
Don't say the joke. I saw it in your face. Don't say the joke. Just let it go, brother.
Hey, Seth Kuhn. Good morning, Seth. He jumped in and said, "Hey, Keith, I loved your poll joke." I was like, yes, somebody who... Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to tell John Anderson the poll joke later. See if he gets a kick out of it. But
he's not going to get it.
We had a joke. Yesterday's poll was, Marty, what's your go-to strategy for achieving big goals? We gave 4 choices: self-motivation and discipline, collaborating with others, using mentors and coaches, and flexible goal setting. And the choices came down to 2. It was 50-50 split: self-motivation and discipline, and using mentors and coaches. So people are split on how they are going to achieve their goals, whether it's coaches or whether it's using mentors. And then today, Marty, we get the poll running. We get the poll running on Threads. We get the poll running on YouTube. And we get the poll running on LinkedIn. We're all over the world today. we figured out, we got a cool dude in the lab, John Anderson. We're going to extend the reach today. So, question for the poll today is, Nation, which daily habit has the biggest impact on your success? So, Marty, some people like the morning exercise. You and I, John Anderson, get that morning lift in, the compound movements like our lifts earlier this week. Number 2 is we're asking folks, which daily habit has the biggest impact? Meditation or gratitude is the other option on the list. And then we go to reading self-help books. And then one that I think is the easiest item on the list to do. Most people think struggle with it, even myself, but it is such a powerful habit to get into to achieve daily success, daily journaling. So whether it's putting a couple words down on a piece of paper or whether it's writing a sentence or a paragraph, but it's dumping your brain out. So daily journaling is another option we're giving folks for create those daily habits. And this is what we're going to talk about with John here today on the show. So you can find those polls on X, on LinkedIn, on Threads, and on YouTube. I invite you all to check them out, to engage in conversation and to bring our dialogue forward here around what are the things that you do to get yourself moving. So, Marty, before we bring John in, let's just take a couple moments here. And how was the last 24 hours? I know you and I spent time here in Winnipeg with the OGG, getting stuff going. And you rattled your journey back to Maryland. And how was that journey? You were stuck. You had some Tim Hortons coffee. Give Business Athlete Nation a glimpse into the last 24 hours of Christopher Martin's life.
So I was headed back from Winnipeg to DC, had to stop in Toronto. Got there, flight got delayed, then canceled, then rescheduled, then delayed, then canceled. So I had to spend the night in Toronto. Then I got to the airport. Checking my bag was crazy. They sending me all to different parts of the gates and different check-ins, and that was a task. And then I had to fly to Ottawa, which I never even thought I'd go to Ottawa in my life, but I had to fly to Ottawa. Then finally made it home to DC.
Made it home to DC. Marty's at home to DC. Happy. What's shaking Enzo? Good morning from the future. Morning, brother. And Enzo, yes, I got your stuff on LinkedIn yesterday. So thank you. I'm going to have a look at it today and this weekend. So I appreciate that. Marty, Enzo sent over his business plan.
I got it too.
Replica jerseys. Oh, I'm quite intrigued, Enzo. So we're going to have a look at that, and we'll get back to you on that here later this weekend. But Marty, I think it's time. I think it's time we welcome in the man, the myth, the legend. I've always wanted to say that.
No comment.
Nope. Let's bring in our friend joining us all the way. Jimmy, I got the vertical. Jimmy, I'm throwing you the horizontal. Coming in all the way from Nevada, I think. Or is it California, Johnny Anderson? Where are you coming from, pal?
California.
Oh, there we go. John Anderson, the world's biggest dude, the world's strongest guy, the world's greatest wrestler, and the guy who's got his ass out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning to join Keith and see Marty Fit this morning, because I think this guy is all about habits. I'm suspecting that this is normal time for John Anderson to wake up.
Yeah. This is, well, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Shit, I want to meet that guy. Where is he? I get up early. I find that part of my formula for success is to get up and have I like to have 3 hours before the rest of the world wakes up, because then distractions start coming.
No kidding, eh? So you're up at 'em early, and you get those 3 hours in the bank before everybody. Isn't it true though, John? How when everybody gets up, they take your time away from you, eh?
Well, it's 100%, and obviously our goal is to make our circle, the people around us, the people that we want to be around us, which we love, which we care about. When we want to give those people our time and attention. And so if that's, as human beings, as when we love people and we want to help people, we want to engage, we want to enrich relationships. That means that when those people wake up, here they come. What are you going to say? No. So you basically, and this goes back to kids, when you have kids, when they wake up, what are you going to say? No, go back to bed. I need another hour to do my own shit. No. So I get up. I've always gotten up early, and it's one of those things where once you start doing it, you have a hard time not doing it.
Yes.
It's I know when I was waiting for you guys to bring me on, talk about habits and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, habits is like, I can't explain to people in general how important habits are. I mean, I just literally wrote out a post about this last night. Like the majority of our daily behavior patterns are subconscious, which means they're habits. So if you can program those habits or those subconscious behavior patterns to be moving you forward rather than moving you back or sitting still. So it's, you take an inventory on your habits. And most people, I suggest just take a piece of paper, split a line down the middle, write out the good ones on one side, the bad ones on the other. Most people are pretty surprised at the bad habits they do have. And then what I say, just take the easiest one you think is going to be able to break or replace, pull that bad one out and try to basically replace it with something else. So it's like let's say somebody has a bad habit of eating at nighttime at 8 o'clock before they go to bed. Well, instead of going to the cupboard to go get something you're not supposed to eat, go to your living room and have a book sitting at the coffee table right next to your chair and read. All you're doing is just taking one activity and replacing it with the next. When people, that's boring. I can't this, I can't that. Well, of course, if you're using I can't, you're kind of screwed to begin with. But then you got to now you got to kind of imply the idea that if you're going to do something, you have to do it all the way. Like I hate taking out the trash, but if I don't take out the trash all the way, it really sucks. Meaning that, okay, I'm going to every room in the house. I'm emptying out all the little goddamn cans. I'm going to take the trash out to the street. I'm going to do it completely, because then at the end of that, I get that box is checked. My brain actually gives me a little dopamine saying, job well done. You did it completely. Let's go do something else productive. So that guy that says, going to the cupboard really keeps my attention, going to the living room to read doesn't. Well, no shit, because you walked in there haphazardly, half committed. You got to sit down with that book and you got to say, I'm going to own this reading. I'm going to learn something. And it's obviously helpful if you put something in front of you to read that you're interested in. But it's, in terms of reconstructing habits, it's not as simple saying, I want to do this, I want to do that. Going back to your poll, by the way. Yeah. I would say that people tend to miss how important having mentors are. Like, for example, I got commitment and discipline and motivation down pretty early in my life. What I didn't get down really early was where to put that stuff, where to invest that energy to get the most in return. And that's where a mentor comes in. Because a mentor says, look, you're doing these 5 things. And guess what? 4 of them are wasting your time. So stop that shit. Put all your energy into this one thing. Boom, you start making so much progress. Now that motivation that you have gets bigger, stronger, faster, you're more committed, and it turns into kind of like a positive vortex. So the most committed person on the planet at some point is going to say, you know what, I've been doing this a long time and I'm not making any progress. I don't give a shit what happens tomorrow. I'm not doing this again. Because any creature wants to have some bit of a return on their investment of energy, time, all the above.
Yes.
And so that's where the mentor comes in. A lot of times people are kind of even unmotivated when they get to the mentor. It happens to me all the time. People come to me and they're not terribly motivated. Well, my job is to create a simple path to get them out of the gate quick so they get that result. And that's what sparks their motivation. It's very easy for people to want to do more when they're getting results. And then all of a sudden that creates the motivation. Then we got to start basically creating habits around those behaviors. And it just boom, 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 boom. Does that make sense? It's almost like there's kind of 2 variations of people. The people that show up and they've got all the tools in place. They're using their steak knife on the wrong side. You got to flip that steak over. Flip that knife over. Let's get the blade on the meat. You're having a hard time because you got the tool. You're using the tool wrong. There's some people like that, but then there's other people. They don't have the motivation to make the steak. So you got to help them make the steak, get them moving. The progress comes. That motivation attaches to the progress. The habits form around the motivation, and off they go. They're obviously a little bit more. They're a little bit of a bigger undertaking, if you will. Versus the guy that shows up and he's got all these things in play. He's just using his tools wrong.
Love it. We're talking daily habits. John Anderson, C. Marty Fit, Keith Bilous here in the morning. It's 18 minutes after the hour. And there's a point in the show here, Marty and John, where we like to talk about accountability. And it's this point, Jimmy, where I'm going to remove Marty and John from the stage, and I'm going to do boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's that sound effect. And it's when I do this. I do the old Conor McGregor. That's it, Marty. It's the Conor McGregor. It's the confidence Conor McGregor thing. That's what it is. Ha Thanks, Iman, Ulan Khan. Great job, Keith and friends. What's shaking, Dustin? Hey, so it's this point we ask you. You're getting your day started, making you reflect, look in the mirror, asking if you got some daily habits. You know, your life, you got a choice. Oh, man, you got a choice. Your life can be successful or your life can be mediocre. That's it. Success, mediocrity. What do you choose? Which way you go really is going to be up to you. And the habits, as John Anderson, myself, and C. Marty Fit are going to talk about today, those habits are going to shape your days. Good habits create momentum. If you do it repeatedly day after day, trust me, it's going to lead to success. Whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, it's going to lead you in a direction. But a good habit leaves you fulfilled. Bad habits, they hold you back. Bad habits repeated over time lead to mediocrity. Bad habits leading over time lead to sickness, lead to not healthy behaviors. So I'd encourage you to think about that positive habit, because the negative one perhaps leaves you feeling guilty. So nation, as we wrap up today's accountability check-in and bring in John Anderson and C. Marty Fit to continue the conversation of daily habits, I'm going to ask you and encourage you and motivate you on a Friday before you head into the weekend to choose those habits wisely. Because you know what, nation? They're going to define. They're going to define you, and they're going to define your future. That's our accountability check-in. Bring it back, Marty. Bring it back, Johnny. We're going to move our dialogue to what's shaking, Mom? What's shaking? We're going to continue our conversation today. The main topic with John Anderson and C. Marty Fit today is, gentlemen, this conversation of daily habits. But John, before we get into it, take 2 minutes, please. Take 2 minutes to take a second to introduce yourself. I know that you've been on Live in the Lab with me. We sat down for an hour and a half a few months ago. We had a wonderful conversation. Really enjoyed getting to know you. I know when I planned today's show, I said to Marty, I got the ultimate dude for daily habits, man, because I know you are a guy about daily habits. But John, take a couple minutes to introduce yourself. You've lifted a couple weights in your lifetime. You might have maybe picked up a couple of guys and put them on the wrestling mat a couple times. You may have lifted a couple of trophies over your head a few times. And I'm thinking, Marty, John might have had a couple of eggs or a couple of protein shakes in his lifetime.
Well, you're totally correct. Habits is like, that's my jam. So to really literally demonstrate how powerful habits are, look, I'm going to start my introduction by saying I was just a fat little boy. You didn't look at me and think, oh, this guy was on a track for doing something above and beyond the norm. That's not, if anything, I was the guy that is he going to be able to take care of himself? Anyway, through, learning disabilities and being overweight and low self-esteem, finally, I figured this shit out in terms of working hard in the habits, and I sculpted my day. Literally, our day is like a loop. So I sculpted my day into all of these habits, which just started propelling me forward. And I quickly realized I couldn't guarantee my future, but I could guarantee the habits that were going to predict my future. Mm-hmm. And off I went. Pow. So fast forward, entrepreneur, created and sold my first business, at my mid 20s. Then shortly after that, I became a pro strongman. I did that for 7 years, traveling all of Europe. It was a great time in my life. Ended up having a back surgery, moving from there into Japanese professional wrestling. Wrestled a little bit. I wrestled all over the world, to be honest, but I did the most in Japan. And then 42 got released and came home and said, well, I guess I'm going to try my hand at bodybuilding. Became a pro bodybuilder. So I became I'm somewhere in a school of 5 people who've ever turned pro in just 2 contests. And now I'm 52 years old, and my habits are still running strong. As you can see, it's, if you live your life the right way, you separate yourself from the masses. It's just that simple. You don't find, there are very few people in their 50s who still do what I do in terms of the way they live their lives. Let's forget how much weight you lift, forget all that stuff. We're talking about committed to hydration, committed to nutrition, committed to, I guess you'd say the simple, just self-improvement, and when you live this way, it's like, you're just kind of stacking up wins, and those wins become so prevalent. Next thing you know, it's like you've separated yourself so far from the masses. And then really, I always make the joke, when you got here, because everybody and their brother is going to come out and start talking smack. And once they're talking shit, you did something outside the norm, because these poor people that don't understand that they're living in this world of negativity, they don't seek and talk shit about people that are like them. And they're the average, they're the norm. So there you have it.
There you have it, John Anderson. Marty Fit, got a question for Johnny.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So, you talk about habits and how important they are. Why do you think? What's the human psychology on why people struggle with building great habits? Why do you think people just have terrible habits and comfortable staying with that for the rest of their lives?
That's a great question, brother. And I believe that we've all been kind of programmed. We've been programmed to be ordinary. It goes right from the way that we're taught from the time that we're little. We're supposed to, excuse me, guys, you're supposed to basically go to high school, possibly go to college, get married, get a job, get married, have a kid, buy a house. And that's kind of all that's our lives. And, for that, I don't mean to sound insulting, because if people think that that's their dream, then go for it. But for that very simple, meager life, you don't have to apply yourself much to get it. And because we're programmed, we're programmed in school to be workers. We're basically, we're taught to be mediocre. When we create habits. So here's the answer to your question, brother. When we create habits to get outside the norm, people attack us. And most people don't have the nuts to get past that. One of my favorite sayings is you have to fail. It's okay to fail, just don't quit. Well, most people they're more afraid of what people are going to say because they failed than what the actual failure is, because people are so caught up in what other people think about them that is, that whole barrier of fear, failure, of what others are going to say, because what we did was outside the norm, because what we did was a little different, holds most people back. They're happier to just sit in the crowd and be a fly on the wall, or whatever you want to call it, be a number. And so creating habits that are going to make a difference in your life, that takes, you're going to have to get ready to go against the grain. And a lot of times when you're going against the grain, it's your own circle of people. Mm-hmm. And that's when it gets really difficult. It's like when you all of a sudden have your mother or your father telling you you're nuts, it's hard to get past that, And so the joke I make for myself, I was a little dense when I was young. I was just dumb enough to believe I could do it. And thank God I was, because I had been a little smarter, so to speak, like understood what was going on around a little bit more, and believed those people that told me I couldn't. God damn, I'd be working a job somewhere, man. That's one of my favorite claims to fame. I've never had a job, never collected a paycheck in my whole goddamn life.
Wow, you generated the income yourself the whole time.
100%. Well, let me, just so I'm totally want to make sure I'm not, somebody doesn't snag me on this.
Call you out.
As an adult, when I was under 18, I had a couple of jobs.
You know what's incredible, John, and you know what's incredible, Marty, is that we had David Sowers in the lab here on earlier this week, and John, David has created an incredible business in the United States called Royal Restrooms. They're a high-end restroom business, and like we're talking like the Royal Throne. Like when you go to an event or you go to an outdoor facility, you'd have like a wonderful restroom experience where air conditioned, not outhouses.
That's actually a great concept.
He talked about what you just said, John, though. When he started it, his family and his friends in his circle were like, what the hell are you doing starting a crapper business? Like, what are you doing starting a restaurant? Like, why are you starting a restroom business? And John, he was derided. He was chided.
Buddy. Oh, right? Yeah.
Just like you talked about. And so you talk about your journey as an athlete, and as bodybuilder wrestler, and people are going, what the hell are you doing, Anderson? Well, David,
it never gets better. I mean, perfect example. I was told I was fucking crazy when I was young. Well, then when I was making progress. So now let's fast forward, I'm in, mid 20s. I'm a fucking beast at this point. I'm 260 pounds. I can walk into any gym and be the strongest guy there. Right. But granted, that's just the gym. Right. And so I start preparing to compete. People are like, what are you doing? You're not strong enough to do that. And it's like, it's crazy how, I guess when it comes down to it, if you look at it, is that most times when people are taking a stand against you, it's some deep rooted thing because they didn't put it on the line themselves. And it's much easier for you to come to their side of the fence where you didn't make it also. And sometimes people never even make an action to try to make it. It's all in their minds. But misery loves company, whether you like it or not. Even when it comes to your family, So, I've dealt with a lot of that in my family too, without getting too deep into all that whole shit. It was like I had family members that were highly supportive when it came to what I could see, but not when I couldn't see. Like, holy shit, man, what's going on here? So, it's almost like the silent the sabotage you can't see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
Like, damn. I just sniffed that one out. But either way, the thing with habits that here's the thing. In the fitness world, people believe it's pretty terrible. People believe that you can take an enhancement and you're going to get what you want, right? And those are people who have never taken enhancements, because once you've taken them, you realize it's a piece of the equation for sure, but it's not the equation. And so, when you preach habits, right? When you preach getting what you want, people are always looking for that thing that, it's not the habit, it's this. No, this helped, but in business, the same thing. There's always somebody does something great in business. They have a great startup. Oh, it was the timing. Oh, it was because you knew this guy.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
You go out and put it on the line, see what happens. Because until you put it on the line, you're not going to accidentally open a door that's going to make you great. You accidentally open a door by knocking on every door you come across. And next thing you know, one day somebody opens up and says, hey, this time you're right. You were correct.
It's like what you're saying, John, is people don't, and Marty and I talk about it all the time. People don't want to, I don't want to make a broad statement, but there's a reluctance to acknowledge the journey along the way. It's like, oh, so you're big. You must have taken some enhancements. Oh, you've lost weight. You must have taken some enhancements. Right.
Yeah,
so it's whether it's enhancements to get big or whether it's enhancements to lose weight. Marty and I talk about, the shortcuts that are offered to society today. Those that want to put the work in, show up every single day. Immediately we judge. Go, oh, Marty must have been cheating. Johnny, there's no way John woke up every single day for 5 years at 4 a.m. to go get his training in. Nah, Marty did not become a D1 athlete by being committed every single day. There must have been a shortcut. And that's what people don't recognize, isn't it, John and Marty? That shortcuts don't exist.
Well, and the thing about it is that, you can say all this shit all you want, but all it is a place for you to hide.
Yes.
It's like, if you're it, and it doesn't matter what the success is, what venue we're talking about, business, family, it's getting fit. It doesn't matter when someone has a habit that allows them to make that progress because they're constantly moving forward. people are not going to look at the fact that it's like, you see the guy that it's like the movie star. Oh, this guy's famous. Where did he come from? Well, you didn't see the 10 years he was doing all the shit you couldn't see.
Yeah.
And that's the habit part of it. I mean, and when you say getting up at, at 4 a.m. for 5 years, you can put a 2 in front of that, I mean, so,
yeah.
I mean, yes. I've been lifting weights. I mean, this is the thing. People look at me and they think, oh man, he's put in some work. But what you don't understand is I put in more work than most people can ever even imagine, because I wasn't gifted with anything other than being dumb enough to believe that I could do it, but realizing that it took a whole lot of habits and a whole lot of repetitive shit to make it work for me. And so
I love how vulnerable you share with yourself, John, because you're like, no, I know what I was, and I had to work.
But that's it. I mean, it was actually kind of confusing, because on the outside, what I really was, people were calling a spade. They were calling the spade. I mean, I was pathetic. It was the truth. I was looking for all the answers in the bottom of the goddamn cookie jar. I was self-sabotaging myself on the outside. But on the inside, I knew that there was something banging around in my head that I couldn't get to stop. And I was like, okay, this thing is telling me to keep doing what I'm doing. Granted, I was committing to look for the answers in the bottom of the cookie jar. I just needed to have the direction to be committed to look for the answers somewhere else. And that goes back to the mentor coming and saying, look, you got the effort here. We just need to take that effort and go over here, and you're going to be just fine. But the thing about habits is people just don't understand how powerful they are, because they would rather point, oh, he did this to get where he is, because they can hide behind that rather than saying, oh, well, shit, getting up at 4 a.m., that's way too much for them to consider to do themselves, nor would they probably be able to stick to it. Now, I'm not saying getting up at 4 a.m. is for everybody, but I'm just saying that the habits that we use, the habits we create and use to become really good at something, those are the things that people don't want to acknowledge, because they don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like how you said you almost got to be delusional to make that happen. So talk about how important the delusion is, and then another thing too, when it comes to putting in the work, a lot of people like to say genetics. Oh, it's genetics. I can't change because of genetics. So talk about that a little bit along with putting the work in as well.
Well, I would say they can almost fit hand in hand, because the guy that has the good genetics, he does, like when it comes to fitness, he makes a lot of progress without having to be delusional. You know what I mean? And it's like, somebody like myself, I didn't have that. And so, literally people, when I was first starting off and I realized, okay, this is my formula, I can see the pace that I've created for myself. I'm separating myself from the people around me. That's when I just realized, okay, and I go underwater. I basically just put my head down and do what I do. And I do as much as I can. And if I can make my habits bigger and stronger, I will. At some point, I had to kind of balance that. Okay, I'm getting so aggressive that I'm beating myself down. I need to be able to recover. I need to be able to do that. I need a little more sleep. But being delusional is probably, in the success world, like when I'm mentoring people for success, whatever it is, they're trying to be successful. It's coming down to obsession. That's the word that I use. You have to be obsessed. Delusional, obsessed kind of fit together. But if you're not obsessed with becoming great at whatever it is you're trying to become great at, there's somebody else who is obsessed or delusional. They're going to whoop the shit out of you. So you got to decide how good or how great do you want to be. And that right there is going to kind of determine your scale of how nuts or how delusional or how, any of the words we want to use, you have to be, because that's when it comes down to it. The average man, he doesn't have, he's not obsessed with anything. That's why he's average.
The average man's not obsessed by anything. That's why he's average. So then let me ask you this, both of you. I'm going to ask both of you gentlemen. Marty, you're a successful D1 athlete as you've gone through your career. John's checked off a few boxes in success through his career. Gentlemen, are daily habits a way that we compete with our peers around us? So, John, like you said, you're like, all right, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I'm going to use a metaphor. Well, The Rock's getting up at 4:55. So I'm going to get up at 4:52 just in case I meet the guy in the back alley, all metaphors and joking aside. But is that a way that we as humans, we as men compete? Which is, I'm starting my day, I'm getting my daily habit in because I know that if I don't, there's a guy around the corner that is, and he might beat me someday.
I mean, I can see how that would be motivating for sure, especially someone just getting started off. A lot of times it's easy to kind of think about competing with somebody else. It gets that something going in your stomach. But for me, I think at this point in my journey of 52 years old, what I'm looking at is how to maximize my day. It's like we all live in this 24-hour loop. And that 24-hour loop, how we maximize these individual loops has everything to do with how good we're going to be or how not good we're going to be for that matter. So I'm always maximizing my loop, meaning if I thought that I could get up earlier and still be productive throughout the day, and I could see if I get up too early, what happens is the time with my wife becomes compromised. And see, it's not just my routine and my rhythm is to make my whole life better. I want to be in great shape. I want to be healthy. I want to have good relationships. I want to continue as an entrepreneur. I want to be able to, I'm always starting new ideas and businesses and things of this nature. And so my routine has to support my habits, better way to put it. Routine, kind of the same thing, has to support it all. If it's just supporting me getting in shape, but it's leaving my relationships lacking, I'm not doing my job.
Well said. It does make sense because I think, some of us, and I will admit that I am perhaps, John and Marty, sometimes guilty of this where I get so focused on one part of my routine that maybe other parts falter. Right. Yeah. And I will, again, my role here in this job I play as a morning host is to be vulnerable and be relatable to the audience and invite people in. And I can say, John, Marty, sometimes I struggle with that, which is okay. Oh, wait a minute. This is faltering over here. But John, what you're saying is you start your morning with your routine, your habits, recognizing that each piece is part of the bigger puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah. And then all you've got to do is don't think of a day. Think of a 24-hour loop, right? And we're going to be roughly awake for 16 of those 24 hours. And how many of these subconscious behavior patterns do we have kind of sewn into this loop? Because these things happen automatically. We don't really think about our subconscious behavior patterns or our habits. They happen by themselves. And so how you structure this according into your loop, your day, and that structure is going to carry you in a certain direction. So as a perfect example, if I'm for whatever reason, let's just say that midday, I'm realizing that I'm a little low on energy. I'm, whatever, who knows? Maybe I worked out a little, maybe I'm getting a little overtrained. Maybe I didn't sleep well. I still get up and do my shit no matter what. But I realize, okay, 5 o'clock, 5:30, when it's time for my wife and I to engage, if I don't feel like I'm mentally there, I'll take a 30-minute nap because that's part of my duty to make sure that I carry out, my day. And the fact that my goal is to get better in all areas of my life every day. And if I know that I'm going to be lacking going into the last section of my day, which is the relationship with my wife, I'll do something to make sure that I can elevate myself so I can do a better job and I can develop that part of my life also.
Oh man, I love that, John. I love that commitment to that because we don't talk about that enough. And I think Marty, we got to invite him back to have a conversation just around this. Because John, as Marty and I were talking about it yesterday, humans tend to judge a book by its cover. We'll leave that aside. But just what you're talking about right now around, you got your day, you got your 24-hour period, but at 5 o'clock, you're like, no, it's wife time. It's John and wife time. And that is a foundational piece to life and to society and to how we bring everything together. So, I think we got to come back for a second part of that conversation. But Marty, I asked you the same question I asked John around competing. And I'm curious to, Marty, your demo, you're in your 30s, young man, moving your way through life and society. Is that is that morning habit for you and for your peers? Is that a way? Do you think is a way for competition? I'm, like, so, okay, I'm getting up because I want to be better than my peer group. Like, is that for you, that motivation, Marty?
I think you got to do what works for you.
Yeah,
I know for me, a lot of times in sports, I would when I was an athlete. Well, I'm still an athlete, but you know what I mean. But
yeah,
I would use that. Like how many shots is he getting up? Oh, let me get up more shots. I even saw the other day there was a father of an NFL wide receiver. They found out one of the kids he was playing against when he was growing up caught 200 passes after every practice and game. So they did 202.
Yeah.
So I feel like that works sometimes, but as I've gotten older and I've gotten to a certain point where it's like, all right, I know I outwork most men. So now I'm trying to compete with myself, kind of like John just said. So I know if I keep getting better and I keep showing up and outdoing myself, I know that I'm going to end up where I want to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So John, here's a question for you. Talk to Marty. So you and I, John, are the same age. Let's talk to Marty. You're like, oh man, if I was 30 again, John Anderson, what are you telling yourself? What are you telling Marty? What are you telling Marty as your peer? Like, not as a talking down thing, but a peer going, oh man, dude, if I was in your shoes again, I would redo this, or I would do this to set myself up even better when I'm going to be 52. So John, play the rewind game with me. Rewind yourself 20 years.
Yeah. So if I could go back and talk to myself, I mean, the piece of advice I give myself would be almost the same, all the way down to I was, when I was just a kid. Yeah. And it's very simple, is that I needed to learn to harness my fear and utilize failure to my advantage. And I need to learn to use it faster. Because most people, a lot like my early part of my success, it was what was driving me was I was scared to death. I was scared to death of failing, which is a great motivator. But at the same time, once I started to realize that I needed to pursue failure rather than run away from it, that I was like, holy shit, because I'm not wasting so much energy running from something that I needed to be running to. Once you run to it, I mean, granted, those failures are going to get you whether you like it or not. The question is, are you going to take them like a man, or are you going to run from them like a little bitch? Well, I ran from them like a little bitch. And of course, they'd always catch me, and there's a lot of wasted energy. And then when I started to say, okay, I'm not running, I'm going to face up and I'm going to do it. And if for some reason, as I tried to fail, I didn't, the gains were astronomical. But if I did fail when I was chasing failure, I knew that there was going to be a lesson. There was going to be another step forward. And so my piece of advice to myself or anybody would be, you need to learn to pursue failure. Fear is a great motivator. You need to understand these two and use them to your advantage.
Oh man, Marty, I got goosebumps when John said that, because you know how much I love running. So John, I've as I've aged in life and we're peers, I've decided to try running, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. You know why I do it though? Because of what you just said.
Because you're chasing something. I mean, when you're in the pursuit of failure,
yes,
the return on your investment of energy is massive. Versus when you're running from failure, you're running to what's easy. You could do it perfectly and make just a bitty little gain, versus you run towards failure. You could even be off on your effort that day and you're still going to make a massive return.
That in itself is such a learning. Hey, Marty, like running towards failure. And we just do not talk about that enough, which is, teaching ourselves as peers, teaching ourselves as humans, as brothers, to say, it's okay to run towards the fire, man. I got you. Because it's better to run towards the fire than not at all. And oh, by the way, as your accountability partner, I got your back, brother. Right. So it's just encouraging us to do that. Right. So Marty, Johnny, as we're working towards wrapping up this main topic here today, because I know, John, you got to rock and roll here within the next 10 minutes. I want to jump into, Chris, John, the downside of habits. Some would say that the over-reliance on a routine, the rigidity of habits, the inflexibility of habits will prevent you from moving forward. Let's talk about the complete contrarian side of you, John and Marty, around habits and habit forming, and why for some it might be the worst decision.
Well, I got that one, brother, because when it comes down to it, my whole life is a rhythm. And my whole life is I spend I've spent my whole life working on my habits. And what happens with me is I can get them so dialed in. And as I said, I'm underwater. I'm going because I'm in that good spot. What happens is that my rigidity turns into be my own prison, meaning that, sometimes you need to have that routine get shaken up a little bit because it actually helps you adjust and find better ways to do it versus when you're in a routine. And there's nothing wrong with getting in a routine. I'm talking, keep in mind, I've gotten into tight routines and run them for months, and I can't tell you how much progress I've made. But at a certain point, there's all of a sudden you realize, man, this is actually the rigidity of this is holding me back. Perfect example. If I was not breaking or altering my routine to take that little nap so I could be in a good mental, emotional state for my wife, that's a perfect example. If I wasn't doing that, that would be allowing my routine to hold me back.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Habits. But here's the thing. I believe there are very few people, and Marty, I'll be curious to see what you think about this. There are very few people that have the nuts to put together enough habits that this can happen.
No, absolutely. And I mentioned earlier, so I played basketball coming up, and I was a shooter, right? And shooting is about rhythm. That's what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you could get out of your rhythm. You might not get any touches. You might sit on the bench too long, and your mental has to be right for you to find that rhythm again. So I use that same mentality with my routine. And life happens. Sometimes you're gonna get out of the routine, but you just gotta have that strong mentality to bring that rhythm back. Or you gotta have something that you do, like take that 30-minute nap, so you can be there for your wife and be the right energy for your wife. And I find it now, now that I'm a personal trainer right now, and people come in with the shittiest attitude. Excuse my language, Keith, but they come in with the worst attitudes. They don't have a routine. They just let life do whatever, or they get thrown. If they do have a routine, they let life throw them off. So, no, definitely, we're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
The routine sets the course when you fall off of habit, doesn't it, John, Marty? So when you do find life coming at you in several different directions, without a habit, I think it spirals out of control. But with that habit, you can take on what's coming at you, acknowledge it, and then revert back into your regular routine. Marty, for example, you were here in Winnipeg with me this week. You have your regular routines. You might have been off on your training, might have been off on your eating, might have been off on your sleep. But when you got back to Maryland into your normal routine, you just slide back into that again, is it? And that's because you've been conditioned that way. And John, I'm thinking the same thing with you, right? I know you live a very consistent, deliberate life. But there are days that maybe you're on vacation or hanging out with family that maybe you stretch the box a little bit. And I'm going to suspect that you're comfortable with that because inherently that, when it's time to go back to my daily routine and habit, you just fall back into that naturally. Isn't that the case, John?
Yes, but very true. But here's the thing. I go a little step further with that.
Okay.
Is that I like to be, I guess you'd say focused and rigid, which can create those prison walls for me. Right?
Yes.
So because I do travel, I move around. So when I do travel, I basically realize that stretch of the routine, as you mentioned, is needed. And so when I'm the guy that is, when I have the opportunity to be rigid, I'm going to be rigid because I know life is going to create that time where the rigidity is going to go away. And that's just part of the way it works. So I don't look at I've got the mental space to let it go loose, which I do. I look at it as the fact that that's an opportunity. It's almost like, call it like active recovery.
Oh, yeah.
You're still doing your stuff, like when I'm at a hotel, my early morning workout many times consists of walking up a stairwell because I don't have what I need to do what I want to do.
Yes.
But
yes.
You start off you take the elevator to the ground, you get 18 floors up, man, and you are breathing through a straw. That's a difficult. Now, is it different? Yes. Did it shock me like my training does? Yes. So I got the job done in a very different way, but it still got the job done. So that flexibility or that stretch, as you call it, is welcomed because I know it's coming, and I basically, realize that's part of the equation. So then when I come back to my routine, I actually feel refreshed. Getting back into that rigidity feels good.
That's powerful. Go ahead, Marty.
I was going to add too, like, do you kind of feel like you got to get back to your routine like ASAP? Because I know when I just left Canada and I got back, I went back and trained my clients this morning. My clients thought I was going to take the whole week off, but I'm like, no, I got to get back in my routine. I go train, I do my morning show, I eat breakfast after, I go work out. I got to get back in my routine. So when you get thrown off, do you feel like you absolutely have to get back?
Well, I like what you're saying. And first off, I love the fact that your clients, the normal people, just thought, oh, you're going to take the week off. That's the way they think.
Yeah.
Like, come on, what are we doing here?
But see, here's the thing. If it's done right, you don't feel like you have to do anything. You want to do it. And the difference between most people is they've set up, in this whole morning routine thing, it's a little bit overblown. People are up doing a bunch of weird shit that's really not helping to move the needle forward. Just getting up early.
You're talking cold tubs, John? Are you a cold tub guy?
Name it. I mean, I'd use that therapy, but it's not like some rigid part of my deal. It's like there's so many tools that I can use based upon when I need them. I mean, if I'm not fucking cutting down a big tree, excuse my language, I'm not going to start a chainsaw. I'll leave the chainsaw in the shed. So it's like, what tools do you need? Like I'm gonna do some cold plunge therapy when maybe I'm having a harder time waking up. Maybe I need it for recovery in my training. There's a reason for all of these tools. You're not just running around, with a chainsaw running full bore because you're supposed to start the chainsaw every day. What are you starting it for? But that being said, if people would tend to understand that when you do this stuff properly, it's a want. And when you want to do something, you do it differently than when you need to do something. And I think that's the premise, the way that going back to we're taught to be normal, we're taught to be average. Most people, they plan a retirement, which means they're planning to get away from something that they're going to do for 40 years. Well, excuse my language. I almost said it again. Sorry, brother. Is that how about plan a way of life that you don't want to escape? You're going to plan something. Well, what are we planning here? You're planning, okay, like my middle daughter's boyfriend, great dude, just graduated San Diego State. It's kind of unhatching his plan to me. And I'm like, hey, Jim, this sounds great. I said, but I just want to ask you to think about one thing. Do you realize that this whole plan of you retiring at a certain age is to get you away from the thing that you're getting ready to commit to doing for 40 years? I said, but maybe before you start that thing, you should decide, is that something that you want to do? Because if you want to do it, you never stop doing it. You never have a lack of income. You never have to retire. And this is why you get these people like, you see these, look at Mick Jagger. This dude is in his 80s and he is running down the like, what do you call that runway where they're because he loves what he does.
Yes.
Giving me goose pimples because when you want to do something, you're going to do it and you have a purpose. And when you have a purpose, it makes everything that much bigger, better, stronger, all the above. So for those of you that are trying to create habits and routines, really look at, don't just do shit. Do shit that matter. Do things that attach to your purpose so that you want to do it because you realize when you do this, it gives you something that you want, or it gives you a feeling you want, and it makes you want to repeat that process. Because any creature on the planet, if you put in X amount of effort here and you get back X plus with something you're highly interested in, you will repeat that process
over and over and over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you want to.
Exactly. We're talking John Anderson, Keith Bilous, C. Marty Fit here, coming up to the top of the hour. And as you know, nation, we're about manners here in the lab. We're about being polite. We're about being graceful and respectful. And we know John's got a routine to get into. So, John, I want to be respectful of your time. I'm going to give you a time check. Marty and Keith are hanging around here. So if you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to. But I know you got to rock and roll. So wrapping up our conversation, John Anderson, I believe you have to rock and roll. So as we're wrapping it up, what are some final words, John, you want to throw on the table around daily habits? How can people find you? Man, you have just dropped nugget after nugget after nugget this morning. I'm really intrigued by what you just said around this. People, Marty, they get up going, okay, I'm digging in to get in this career for the next 40 years so I can get out of it. I never thought about that way, John, but you're right, eh? There's a lot of people like, yeah, okay, I'm 25. I'm going to start this job for the next 40 just so I can get out of it. Wait a minute. Then why the hell are you choosing that then?
Yeah, when you put it like that, it sounds kind of crazy.
I never thought about it. You're right, John.
We're programmed this way. It's normal. This is what people do because it's the way that we're raised into it.
And so it's funny, John, because when you say that, it actually gives me some energy, Marty. Where people Bilous, why are you going so hard again at 50, 52 to go build your business again? Because I love it. I'm Mick Jagger. I'm running on stage. People like, Keith, what are you doing at 80? I'm going to go lift some weight. Why? Because I love it. Mm-hmm. That's what. I love doing this every single. Am I tired? Sure, some days, but I love this. Right? So do what you love, nation. John Anderson, where can people find you, man? How can they get a hold of you? How can they drink your Kool-Aid? How can folks find you, pal?
The easiest way is going to be my Instagram. We have a lot of social media platforms, but I do make sure that every day I go in there so I love to connect with people. I love to inspire, love to motivate. And so if you send me a message in there, I will get back to you. That's the platform I am in every day. And that is, as you can see in my handle here on the screen, at the John Anderson. But my name is a little screwy. First name, Jon, and Anderson is Andersen. So you got to remember, it's not just the normal spelling of my name.
Hey Marty, just followed you, brother.
Oh, right on.
Hey Marty, John's had this issue his entire life where he's like, my name is Screwy. So he's like this kid going through junior high and high school just trying to figure out his name, which is probably what drove him to be mad around habits. Like, damn it, I got to get some habits in place because my mom and dad made my name all screwy. They made with Jon, they made the EN, and he's like blaming his parents for all of his.
That is a little screwed up.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
John, you're awesome, man. Did you have as much fun here today as we had with you? I thought you were a fantastic guest. Great conversation today, pal. Will you come back again and join us?
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, this went by really fast. It's always when you're doing a show and you chew up the time frame real quick, it was a good one. And that's
absolutely. And as you can tell, we're trying to do some things differently here. There's not a morning show like this on the planet. We're the only morning show that wakes up North America, the world, with topics around accountability, with topics around habits, with topics, John, to convince people to get their ass out of bed instead of hitting the snooze button. Yeah. That's why Keith and Marty wake up every single day and bring in guests like yourself to make people maybe think a little bit differently. There's somebody that heard you today that's going to go to their job going, why the hell am I doing this to race towards retirement that I hate? And I love that. I love that.
That's a great way to put it, man.
It really is. It really is.
Because we have to look at everything that we're taught from the other side. It's like we just assume this is the way it goes because we were all taught this way and because we're taught in masses. Well, let's remember, we don't want to be like the masses. So it's time to look at the conventional wisdom from the other side.
Yes. Marty, last word to you for John before we walk John out the door.
Hey, appreciate you coming on. You definitely dropped some nuggets and changed my perspective on things. I look up to the guys like y'all in their 50s to guide me as I get
right. I appreciate that, brother. That makes it all worth it right there.
It's exactly
definitely.
John, you have an exceptional day, my friend. Exceptional summer. You take care of yourself. I've told you this before, as I'm freezing up here, but I've told you this before. You've been in the lab twice. You're no longer a guest of the lab. You're family of the lab, man. So you come back. You got announcements you got to make. You got books you're dropping. You got appearances you're making. You're like, hey, I want to get my message out. Come knock on my door. Come knock on Marty's door. Hey, I want to bring my coffee cup to the lab and hang out with you guys for a while. Dude, you're welcome here anytime, okay? I mean that very sincerely.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome. And tell your friends about the show. Tell them to tune in. And what do I got to tell them, Marty? What do I got to tell them? What is it again?
Hit the like button, subscribe, share with a friend.
And Johnny, go subscribe to our show, pal.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
John Anderson, have a great day, my friend. Man. Jimmy, I got the vertical. I'm taking him off the vertical. We're gonna keep the conversation going with Keith and C. Marty Fit. Marty, that was an awesome chat, man. Dude, the guy just dropped nugget after nugget after nugget.
Yeah, he's a pro.
He's we got to
He's
get
a
that
pro.
sound effect. We got to get the sound effect for the GOAT because he might be up there in the GOAT category.
Yeah, he's a pro, man.
He's absolutely a pro. Solid guy. I had John here in the lab a few months ago, as I told you, Marty, for Live in the Lab. And when we had this topic around habits, I'm like, I know a dude that will talk about habits until the sun doesn't shine. And that's John Anderson, man. The guy's a beast. He's a GOAT, and man, he just dropped some things that I just don't think about. Right? I'm going to repeat myself, but just that whole idea, right? There's a lot of people waking up today going, okay, I'm digging into my job now for the next 20, 30, 40 years, and I hate it, but this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. Really? So we're going to continue the show here. We're going to get into the second half of the show here today. We got to see Marty Fit Tip coming up, and we're going to pivot our conversation at this point in the show to compound movements.
I wish we could have heard him talk about some compound movements too. I'm sure he got some nuggets for that.
Well, Marty, I got to tell you, man. So when Johnny messaged me last night, said, "Hey, I got a time frame around. I got the 55-minute mark." I said to myself, "Okay, host, yes, Keith. Do I keep the conversation on habits, or do I bring in compound movements?" Because I figured we could probably talk. Because I know John can talk, man. He's got nuggets after nugget after nugget. I was like, okay, I'm going to choose to keep the focus on habits, and then you and I will dig into compound movements. But you're right, we got to bring the beast back to talk about compound movements, and because I'm sure he's going to say things that you and I are also going to talk about. But the fact is, nation, compound movements. You're starting your day on a Friday, and you're starting. John talked about it, Marty. But the things that we hate to do, we should do them. Compound movements, Marty, are all you need.
Agreed.
You can transform your entire body, your entire physique, with just a few powerful exercises.
Yep.
So let's take the next little bit, Marty, you and me.
What if they just want to lose their stomach?
Or I just want to tone my arms.
Or girls, I just want to work on my butt.
So, ladies, I love you. I love you, ladies, and I know Marty does as well. But if we can change this mission on the show where we can invite ladies to recognize that, I'm going to call my lovely girl Lauren, in a positive way. No, positive.
Oh, I was going to say, what now?
No. And I mean this because a lot of people come around and like, oh, Lauren, I want your arms. Oh, Lord, I want to have jacked arms like you. Or I want to have. It's just like, oh, no, it's not just because I did biceps.
It's a little more than that.
Dude, if you want to see how Lauren crushes lifts, man, Lauren, compound lift, Lauren.
She does.
She does it all. So you don't just show up one day and go, I want to have nice biceps. No, you got to lift heavy weight. You got to not be afraid and go for a run, go do some cardio, eat. And here's the thing too, Marty, that everybody here's the thing that nobody gets, man.
You Keith Marty fit right now.
You don't build arms in the gym, you build them in the kitchen.
There you go. Where's my button?
You want to have nice aesthetics? Put the donut down. You want to have great shoulders and great arms like Lauren? Yeah. Go have some broccoli and chicken and go do a compound lift. Marty?
He's absolutely right.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
It doesn't just happen in your hour workout. It's
so
much more to it.
It doesn't. So there's my rant. I love you, Lauren. She's my poster child for ranting because I'm around people and people are like, oh yeah, I want to look like Lauren. Well, then go put the work in. No, she just didn't show up for 1 week and all of a sudden become a jacked human being. The
30-day challenge.
The kid's been training for 25 years, man.
30-day challenge.
Hey, baby, I love you. Just calling you out, my poster child. So the power of compound movements, Marty. When you and I trained this week, dude, and I so it's funny. Carter was here yesterday. He's like, "Hey, how did you enjoy training with Marty?" I said, "I loved it, man. I loved it. We did some great big moves." So we're going to talk about why compound movements are effective, Marty. Compound movements engage multiple muscle groups effectively. They mimic the natural movements, enhancing functional growth, and they allow for heavier weights leading to greater strength gains. Let's talk about some examples, Marty. First compound movement comes to mind for you is what?
Squat.
Yeah.
Squat. Lower body works every muscle in the leg. burns a ton of calories.
It's the ultimate, I think, Marty. The squat is the ultimate metaphor for life. Those that have heard me say this before, know what I'm going to say next. But Christopher Martin, see Marty Fit. You get under the squat rack with, I don't care whether it's the 45-pound bar on your shoulder.
Squats this week too.
We did. Whether it's the 40
squats.
Yeah. So you get under the squat rack, pal, whether it's the 45-pound bar, whether it's 135, 225, 315, whatever you're squatting. But to put that weight on your shoulders and then to go down, dude, you got one of two choices. You can either bail or you can stand up. Exactly. And that weight doesn't care what gender you are. The weight doesn't care how old you are. The weight doesn't care what skin color you are. The weight's like, no, I'm 220 pounds, Marty. Are you going to get up or are you going to bail? No, Bilous, the weight's 315. You got one of two choices, man. You can either grind it or pull it through.
Yep.
That's the power of a compound lift. And Marty, the power of the compound lift, I think, is even just a metaphor for life too, right?
Yeah. It
hits you in all sides. So second example of a compound lift, my friend, would be what for you? Second favorite one?
Probably, man, shoulder press.
There you go. Yes. Yeah.
That's a good one, man. It's like same thing. Burn a ton of calories, working multiple muscles.
Yes.
And it's tough.
Yes.
It's not easy, man.
Yes.
It's not easy.
I love the deadlift. Next one up on the compound lifts is deadlifts. Works the entire posterior chain and core. Now, Deads Nation, you got to be careful. Can hurt yourself with them. But done properly, whoa. Full body, hit you. Marty.
Real quick, let me address the myth on getting hurt with deadlifts.
Yeah, please.
A lot of times people have poor form and they're doing too heavy. If you can't go super heavy on deadlift, that's okay. You can still get the benefit from it if you lighten the weight a little bit. So don't let people stop you from doing it because they say it's bad for your back. It's totally not true.
Well, and I think so. I agree with you there 100%. It's and hey, you don't have to get under the rack. You don't have to get under the dead and start with 200, 300, 400 pounds. Pick up the bar.
Just pick up the bar. I literally start so many clients with just the bar, and now they're doing 185 clean, 225 clean.
There you go. Right there.
Women. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Power Nation, the power of the compound lift. Don't be afraid of it. It's and here's the thing, Marty. Yes, it's going to be hard. Yes, you're going to be saying to yourself, but I just want to do the arm curls. Okay. Yeah. You're not going to get the results. Put the arm curl aside, do a squat, do a dead, do a shoulder press, go to work.
You get a full workout with just those three.
And eat clean throughout the day. Go to work. There you go. Done.
You can get a full workout with those three. Great workout.
Very much overlooked. Marty, bench press. The power of the bench press strengthens the chest, the shoulders, the core. Talk about the power of getting, the shoulders and the triceps. Talk about the power of the bench press. So again, we talk about the little movements, right? Put the bicep curl, put the tricep curl aside, and do what, Marty? Do the bench press instead.
Another great one, fellas. You can change your whole physique with the bench press.
Yeah.
Change your whole look. Without, I'm saying, if you were to work out and stay the same weight, but you have been doing bench press, you change your whole look. Look completely different.
Absolutely. Good morning, Hoodlow. Good to see you, man. It's been a while since we saw you in the lab here.
What's up, Hoodlow?
I'm glad to see you. I think Marty, we gotta get Hoodlow in the lab sometime, man. He's a CRM genius. Joins us from Florida. And Hoodlow, we should bring in some time to chat about some CRM. I don't know if I want to talk CRM in the morning. We'll talk about Hoodlow. We'll bring him in to talk about something else in the morning.
CRM is a little rough in the morning.
There you go. Hoodlow, good to see you, pal. Just having some fun with you. You know how we like to have fun here in the lab.
I'm sure he could talk about a lot, though.
The guy's kind of smart.
I'm sure he could talk about plenty. Yeah.
Hoodlow's got, based upon your shirts, one wants to be seen, the other not. Yeah, Hoodlow, I'm in camo. Can you see me? Oh. Hoodlow, if you're looking closely, all you should be able to see is my face because my shirt and my shorts and my hat is all camo. So in theory, all you should see is my face right now. So that's CRM is boring.
You know what's boring if he says CRM
is boring. Hey, Nation, all kidding aside, if you are looking for a CRM expert in your business, you go call Michael Hoodlow. The dude is a genius when it comes to CRM stuff, even if it is boring. But Michael Hoodlow will make it entertaining.
You ever been in a CRM like Zoom call?
I have.
Did you fall asleep?
No, I sent my avatar.
Oh wow. So just turn the screen off.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I was at a CRM conference with Hoodlow and I went to sleep. Oh, Hoodlow. Hey Nation, you come to the show, we like to have fun with you. This is an engaging and interactive show, so if you tune in, we might call you out. So if you bring some comments to the screen, we'll weave you into the show here. We're talking compound movements with Keith and C. Marty. Coming up in a few moments, we get to see Marty Fit Tip, something to get you going throughout your day. But Marty, another compound movement that you and I did this week, not many, I think that Hoodlow's like brutal. Hoodlow, go have another cup of coffee, man.
We had to get him. We had to get you, Hoodlow.
Get him is exactly it. Yeah. Have you ever been on a call with bros talking about? Oh, Michael, I love you, man.
That's boring too, actually.
That is boring too.
That's actually boring too.
Yeah. So if you don't want to talk about working out, change the channel because Keith and Marty are talking about compound lifts. Hey, Hoodlow, have you done a compound lift before? Oh!
Hey, Hoodlow, he did that, not me.
People tuning in going, what the hell's going on with Bilous and C. Marty? Well, we like to have fun with our guests.
This is hilarious.
We show love through jesting and banter, so don't take offense to anything we're talking about here. If you take an offense, don't tune in. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you don't like the humor we bring, which is
all love,
through love, then you should tune out. But hey, we're always going to make it a positive spin here. Marty, we did bent over rows, another big compound movement that engages the back, the biceps, and the core. Talk about the power of the bent over row, man.
Yeah, big exercise, man, and the back is a big muscle as well. I think outside of your legs, the back is the next largest muscle. So
yes,
man, and that's another way. You work on that V taper, you could change your whole look. That's for the men and the ladies.
Yes,
and you can make your waistline look smaller when you define that V taper a little bit more.
Oh, talk about that life hack, eh? People sometimes they wonder what that's all about. Talk about the power of the V taper. And I know we're not talking bro science here. We're talking reality here. You're walking through the streets of New York City, through Florida. You're walking next to Michael Hoodlow. And you're going, wow, that guy's got a great physique. Look at his shoulders. Look at his little waist. How does that come together, Marty? That's through things like what?
Any pulling movement. So the row is a pulling movement. So you got rows, pull-ups, seated cable row, pull downs. And, if you want some motivation, especially ladies, that V taper, when you put the sundress on and your back is out, going to look amazing. Fellas, when you put the custom suit on, when you got a meeting at work, you can see it through that button-up shirt. So just a little motivation for you.
Nation, we all know that I don't love my girl Lauren, but you put Lauren in the sundress with her shoulders and her V taper. Telling you, Nation, go eat well, go do some compound movements. You're gonna like how you look in the mirror. So Marty, there's many more benefits with compound lifts beyond strength. You said it at the beginning of our chat here. The efficiency in workouts. Oh, I don't have a lot of time to lift, Marty. I only got 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Okay, what are you going to suggest?
Oh, are you asking hypothetically, or are you asking me?
Yeah, so no,
there's
efficiency in this. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the example we mentioned earlier. If you did squat, deadlift, shoulder press, if you had 20 minutes and you could get 5 or 6 rounds in, you're good for the day.
Think about that, Nation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how far you wanted to go, but if we're talking about caloric burn, caloric expenditure,
do it.
Right? Yeah, we're talking about caloric expenditure, right? Rest and metabolic rate. It's going to help increase your rest and metabolic rate. You're going to burn calories throughout the rest of the day. So that's another benefit of compound lifts.
It's true. So not only the efficiency in workouts, you don't got to spend your, and I think I think I can speak on behalf of Marty and even John. You're spending longer than 45 minutes, an hour in the gym, probably longer than 45. You're probably tired, right? You're probably burning out, right?
Oh, yeah.
Get in there for your 30, 45 minutes, get some compound movements in there, get out, go get some good food. But like Marty said, you get those compound lifts and you're efficient. You're not spending hours. Yep. Right, you're gonna that calorie expenditure is going to continue throughout the day, and it's going to be an effective way to continue moving your day forward. So again, Marty, we talk about using AI to save time in your life. You save time. You use AI, do compound lifts. There's no excuse not to hit the gym.
Absolutely.
Not to hit the gym at all. So, Marty, people come to you as a trainer and there's concerns around some of the compound movements. Proper form, risk of injury, intimidation. Oh, I don't want to lift that heavy weight. I'm nervous about it. I just want to go lift the little dumbbell to be strong. Talk about how we can encourage our audience, how you encourage your clients to, as John said, walk towards the fire, embrace the fear, but overcoming the challenges of considering doing compound lifts, Marty.
Well, everyone has different pain points, so I tend to hit their pain points. So, some might be parents or grandparents, and I bring up the whole situation with, having fun with your kid or osteoporosis, one wrong movement, you're hurt. Yeah. Can't enjoy that time with your kid anymore or your grandkids. Some people is, if you're a business guy, hey, are your clients going to take you serious if you don't look a certain way? Same with the ladies. Or, if you're I got clients in nightlife, you're a DJ, party promoter. People going to take you serious. Like, if you look good, you look confident, you walk confident, you got some muscles, you got some veins popping out. People going, hey, let me try your club. Let me go watch you DJ. So I just try to hit that pain point, and it can apply to anybody. It's going to benefit you no matter what industry you're in some way, somehow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So nation, as we wrap up our conversation on compound movements, and I'm going to tell you, we're talking about it today because we created some content a couple weeks ago that you guys liked. You're like, hey, we want to talk more about compound movements. So I said to Marty, hey, let's double down on this. Let's talk more about, enlightening our audience to talk more about compound stuff. So let's talk about some of the conclusion and takeaways, Marty. Compound movements, Business Athlete Nation, essential for building the overall strength. I know to some of you this might sound basic, but to many it's not. To many, you walk towards the easy stuff. To many, you walk towards picking up the 25-pound bicep curl. That's fine. What we are trying to encourage you to consider is walk towards the squat rack, walk towards the pull-up bar, walk towards the bent over row, walk towards the deadlift. Do some of the things that John Anderson talked about that might scare you, but are ultimately going to make you stronger mentally, make you stronger physically. It's going to be efficient. It's going to help you burn calories. I've already talked about functional fitness. You want to go tobogganing with your grandchildren when you're 75 or 80 or going for a trek or a hike. Doing these movements we're talking about right now is going to help you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yep.
It's not rocket science. And I know it's scary. I know we don't like to do things. I know there's things we don't like to do. We're like, I don't want to do that. Well, this show here is about encouraging you to consider doing that. Right? Focus on the proper form and gradual progression. Like Marty said, if you're concerned about doing a deadlift and you're working with Marty, he's not walking you up to say, okay, you got to go 200 pounds. Just do the bar.
Just do the bar.
Just do the bar and do it properly. Make yourself feel good about it. Right? So Nation, I'm going to give this to you. Embrace compound movements to transform your fitness journey. Start with proper form, progress gradually, and watch as you gain strength. And Marty, watch as you gain confidence.
Yep.
And as Marty's talked about so many times in business, I can guarantee you, Business Athlete Nation, females or males, you get strong, you get stronger and start feeling stronger, the feeling of stronger, Marty. You're going to walk into a conference room or into a meeting with your suit or your outfit on. Immediately, your shoulders are going to go back. Your chest is going to come out. The words you're going to articulate more confidently. It all starts under the squat rack, the bench press, or the deadlift. As Marty's yawning through my boring diatribe.
Nah, it wasn't
I'm kidding, Matt. I'm kidding. I know you've been traveling here. So there's our wrap up with compound lifts and compound movements, Nation. As we rock and roll into the weekend here, I really want to encourage you. And listen, if you need help, if you have questions, you have two people here on the show, one specifically that can help you. Do not be reluctant. Do not hesitate to reach out and ask. We provide this show. It's free. Every single day, it's an accountability show. Get up and get started with us. But hey, listen. Exactly. You're like, hey, I need some help. Go call on Chris. Go call on Marty. See, Marty Fit will help you. He'll help you do that. And you know, and Hudlo calls us up as well. And I agree with you, Michael, more than anything. The confidence boost is the biggest benefit. So whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 25, like Michael Hudlo, 70, the confidence Marty, Hudlo's 25, been teaching CRM for 50 years. The guy's like the future, man. He's a CRM expert, been teaching it for 50 years. This guy's 25 years old.
He's going to get you back. You know that, right?
Well, I know he is. But the confidence you get when you're lifting, Nation, is really the most important thing. And I know it's hard to describe until you have it, but that is what I would want to encourage you to consider when you're walking into the gym and considering those compound movements. And like I said, if you need help, Marty's not going to judge you. We're open for everybody. Come on, knock on Marty's door and say, hey, you know what, Marty, I heard you talking about compound lifts. Can you help me with that? I guarantee he's going to help you out. So
absolutely.
There's
said, holy crap.
We love you, man. We love you. We love you. Hey, Jimmy, it's this point of the show, man, where I think we're going to pivot the conversation to a moment in the show to keep the nation motivated and moving forward. And Marty, it's this time where we are going to do, I'm going to shuffle my sound effects and
let's get it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it. It's that time of the morning for the fit tip. So let's get into it. The habits you live by every day determine your fitness success. Staying consistent with your fitness and life goals requires habits that keep you on track. Here are 7 non-negotiable habits for success. Number 1, show up daily. Consistency beats perfection. Aim to improve every day. That 1% better adds up. Number 2, plan your workouts. Schedule them like important meetings. I always tell Keith, if you wing it, you're going to eat chicken wings. So, but you got to have a plan. Plan your workouts. If you need help, you can always contact me. Prioritize nutrition. Fuel your body with wholesome meals, satiating foods, macronutrient-filled, nutrient-dense foods, protein, protein, fats, carbs. Get enough sleep. Rest is important for recovery and performance. You got to sleep. Put the phone on D&D. Turn the TV off. If you prioritize your fitness, you prioritize your sleep. That's a good one. Stay hydrated. Drink water throughout the day. Carry a gallon with you. Carry 64 ounces, 50 ounces, whatever it is, whatever you can do consistently and hit that goal. Try to keep that water with you and try to increase it as time goes on and your body gets used to it. Track your progress. Keep a journal of your workouts and your diet. Keep track of how much weight you're doing, what exercises, what you're eating, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And lastly, and probably most importantly, stay positive. A positive mindset can overcome any obstacle. Just like John talked about earlier, right? You're going to get thrown off. You're going to get off your rhythm. Stuff's going to happen. Life's going to happen. But you got to stay positive throughout it. Stick to these habits, and you'll be well on your way to achieving your fitness goals and life goals. And that's the fitness tip for today.
Awesome. There's the C Marty Fit Tip of the day. We drop it every single day. Accountability check-in, the C Marty Fit Tip. It's just pieces of advice, nuggets to help you guys keep moving, give you things to think about, give you things to move forward. And Marty, looks like Hudlo is adding my name to email subscription lists right now. So I'll be having to monitor my inbox for a bunch of emails coming from people that's actually a good one. I never thought about that. Hudlo's out of here, but what's shaking, Michael? I love
Hudlo.
I love the fact that you jump in and join the show. I appreciate you as a viewer of the show here. That's super funny, man. I never thought of it. That's a good one to get back, eh? Just the old, I'm going to add you to the email subscription.
That's hilarious.
Marty, we're going to get towards wrapping up the show here, man. 90 minutes into the second hour. And Nation, as you've noticed here, we've been working on tweaking the show here. We've been in the early number of days, we were trying to fit it all into an hour. And we've been expanding our segments. And, and that is the goal here as we keep going up. And I just want to pause, Marty, and just say thank you to everybody. We have seen you all tuning in. and I appreciate that you guys are tuning in, you're subscribing, you're liking, you're offering comments, and I'm asking you to keep doing that. As you know, we're the only morning show on the planet. We're the only morning show in the mornings that you can wake up with that helps you achieve your goals. That's all about accountability. It's all about forming daily habits and maybe offering you nuggets to get your day started. We try not to bring negativity. We're always trying to bring positivity. There's enough negativity in the world, Marty. So we're hoping we hope that you think about 8 o'clock Eastern time. You're like, yeah, I want to go hang out with Christopher Martin, see Marty Fit. Yeah, I want to go hang out with Keith Bilous. See Bilous or K Bilous Fit. I want to hang out with these guys to get my day started. Marty, what a great week, man. We started the week in Winnipeg on Sunday. We hung out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You spent some time trying to get yourself home on Thursday, and we're back here on Friday. From me to you, man, thank you, brother. What a great week, pal.
Of course, thank you as well. And thank you, OGG. O-double-G.
100%.
Yep.
So, Nation, thanks for joining us for the week. You guys have yourself a great weekend. You can find us. You can find us on Inside Bapple on Instagram, Mornings in the Lab on Instagram. You can find us on LinkedIn, X. We are on every platform. We're everywhere. We are ubiquitous. Our goal is to create accountability, to create trust, to create content you can believe in from a couple of guys who are showing up every single day to help you show up. So like the channel, subscribe to the channel, offer some comments. We've got polls up there. Exactly the 3 things, Marty. But we're going to get out of here. Nation, have an awesome day. Have an awesome weekend. We're going to be back Monday morning. I don't have the agenda in front of me, Jimmy, so we're going to leave it aside. You'll see it in the feeds this weekend. We'll see you guys on Monday. Marty?
All right. Yep. Thanks for watching. See you Monday.
See you guys.